Welcome to Mediocre Main Character. I'm playing Matches and Matrimony, a Pride and Prejudice tale, a dating sim based on the works of Jane Austen. We are playing Chapter 14. We're still in London, and we're trying to win the heart and soul of a certain Mr. Bingley. So rest. You know what? Let's max out our kindness, and then we'll just read for the rest of the week. Changed perspectives. My last meeting with Mr. Bingley had left me excessively puzzled, even more so than the puzzling meeting we'd had in our penultimate encounter. Though I had a suspicion that both mysteries might in fact be the same. Can we at least make up with Jane? I feel so bad. Jane would have normally been my confidant in such matters, but as things were, in regards to Mr. Bingley, I feared to discuss such things with her. Still, as circumstances were dire, dear Mediocre, I think you still fear my reproach on account of Mr. Bingley. She's winking at us. I have such news to tell you, but I shan't, for I fear to share it might make the dream disappear. I feel no fear. I shall certainly tell. Oh, Lydianne, what? I saw her dancing with Colonel Brandon, and not just once. I was as shocked as I was surprised. Colonel Brandon? Had she danced with him the whole of the time I'd been with Mr. Bingley? My focus on my own issues had made me blind indeed. He has made me so happy. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that we turned down Colonel Brandon. That way Jane gets a happy ending. Oh, she's in love. I got my sister back, you guys. I'm certainly the most fortunate creature that ever existed. Oh, she's so cute. If I could but see you as happy. Perhaps Mr. Bingley shall be the man for you. Oh, Jane's good relationship has been restored. If you were to give me 40 such men, I never could be as happy as you. That's true. You're a good person, Jane, and you deserve the happiness. All of the happiness. I'm sorry I'm stealing Mr. Bingley from you, but I'm still gonna play the game, okay? What? Mr. Bingley shall not be for Mediocre in any event. What do you mean? He's engaged. This is a roller coaster of emotions. I couldn't believe the words as they were being spoken. Certainly could not be. Lydianne, why are you smiling like this? Like my heart's breaking over here. He's engaged to Miss Darcy, the sister of that man that we know who kept us company. It was said that their engagement was promised from their youth, that it was schemed upon by their fathers. That's it. He said he would fulfill some of his father's wishes, and since he couldn't pursue politics, I guess he's gonna marry Miss Darcy. That night, as I retired to my room, my mind strayed, replaying the moments when Mr. Bingley and I had been together. Certainly he'd wanted to tell me. I was certain of that. But there was more. There was anguish in his telling me. He loved me. I was sure of it. You know what, honey? Let's be delusional. I'm with you here. Bingley loves us. I can feel it. I feel we're so close to the end of this Bingley playthrough. I just want to see it to its end, you know? If he is engaged to Miss Darcy, fine. I just want to see it for myself so I can make peace with it, you know? We're still in London and we're doing really well with all of our stats. I think let's just, for the sake of it, keep our energy high and just keep reading. Nothing else to do. I was certain. The morning drifted by in a silence that gave me more apprehension than pleasure. However, as the day turned to evening, I was greeted by not one, but two guests. Oh, Colonel Brandon's here to pick up our sister. Is Jane about? I'm sorry, my sister's not at home. Oh. I was too pleased for them both not to help things along. Did she say that? She was so pleased it was hard to get her to speak of anything else. Truly, I must tell you, I was certain I could never love again, that I might not ever even feel again, but all that's changed. Oh, good afternoon. I apologize. It appears as though I've intruded. Indeed, you have not, for I was just leaving. I'm sorry. Mr. Bingley's jealous of Colonel Brandon? Where were you, bro? Though he was engaged, I would not allow him to think that my heart was committed elsewhere. No games for us. I do not think the Colonel could find what he was looking for here. Perhaps he's gone out looking. Perhaps. Colonel Brandon seems a man of great worth and respectability. I've always heard of him spoken as such. He is undoubtedly a sensible man, and his manners, he is perfectly the gentleman. I believe him to be. If you remain at Netherfield Park, you'll find him on further association. All that you've heard him to be. Why are we doing this? I thought we were going to make it clear to Mr. Bingley that our heart belongs to him, yet we're like talking up Colonel... What's his name? Brandon. Mr. Bingley made no answer, but he did give me a look so serious, so earnest, so uncheerful, as seemed to say that he might hereafter wish the distance between Netherfield Park and Delaford much greater. I could only guess what he was thinking before he moved on, and I was able to correct his apparent misconception. Does he think that we're dating Colonel Brandon? I've come to share some news with you. Of your engagement? I can't believe we just said it. We just said it. Of your engagement? Well, it's not exactly an engagement, but you've already heard then. Indeed. I'd meant to share it with you myself at the ball. Wow. He's known this a long time ago. What is it? You're engaged to marry someone else. What do you want from me? Of course, of course. Lydia comes storming in. What a wonderful surprise! Has Mediocre congratulated you on your engagement? She's mean. Like, I used to like Lydia, but I think she's a bit too socially unaware. Oh, did Lydia just wingwoman us? Then again, she might have had some other ideas. Truly? Mr. Bingley glanced in my direction and seemed to consider what Lydia had said for a brief moment. I think it is time I continued on my way. I thank you for your hospitality. No, Lydia, for once I think you may have said exactly the right thing. Oh. Though I found opportunities, things had not turned out as I had expected. So I waved goodbye to London with a heavy but hopeful heart. Unlike the trip to London, the trip home was quiet. I don't think any of us spoke a word the entire way. Oh, these chapters are flying by now. Chapter 16. Wow, we have everything going for us, so let's just study the arts this week. I returned from London with lingering sadness that colored my view of the future. After all the things that had happened there, I wondered what adventures awaited before me. Oh, Colonel Brandon's back. News from London. Mediocre. I have news from London. Mr. Bingley and Miss Darcy have been married. I had believed he was a friend of the family and yours. I was not surprised that they should be married, but being married so soon after we had left London seemed more than just a little odd. It seemed cruel, and to lack feeling for others. Oh. Are you certain they're married? How have you come to possess this information? Wait, wait, what? So he read it in the paper, but he's not super sure. Maybe it's not Mr. Bingley and Miss Darcy. Maybe it's Ms. Bingley and Mr. Darcy. It's possible. I mean, I don't know. Had I known the pain this would cause you, I would have read more carefully. I'm very sorry to have brought it up. I'm so glad you're going to be our brother-in-law. Like, you're a nice guy, Colonel Brandon. I'm happy if he's happy. But I was not happy. Not at all. Wow! Oh, wow, we're distraught. Energy decreases by 50. Oh my goodness. That was the week. That was the week. We get one piece of news, it's horrific, and we're in bed all week. That's great. How can you do this to me? Okay, let's read the updated description. I have come to the sad understanding that the wishes of his father, that Mr. Bingley is determined to fulfill, were those of Mr. Bingley's son and Mr. Darcy's daughter marrying. I am in shock at this news and the further revelation that they are in fact engaged. Though I hold out hope for my relationship with Mr. Bingley, things look bleak indeed. Man, chapter 17, let's do this. I want a conclusion, okay? Mr. Bingley married Miss Darcy, it is what it is, but I want to see some proof. I want to be able to move on. We need to rest a lot. You know what? I'm just going to rest all week. What are they going to do? I don't have any suitors. I'm out of options. I've turned down everybody. And I think it's my karma. The last guy I could have hooked up with ended up going for my sister because I turned him down. And that's what I get because it's karma, because this whole game I've been trying to steal my sister's man. A week had passed and I still couldn't believe it. Mr. Bingley was married. There must be some mistake. My soul desperately hoped it had been a mistake. And yet, all this clinging on to hope left me hopelessly unhappy. I knew I should move on and allow my heart to heal, though I felt sure I could not do so. I knew I must. I had scarcely determined on this course of action when a figure of a man on horseback drew my eyes to the window. It appeared to be a gentleman, and I quickly assumed it must be Colonel Brandon likely calling on Jane. But watching him dismount his horse, it quickly became clear. It was not Colonel Brandon. The rider had neither his air nor his height. Were it possible that the rider was Mr. Bingley? Oh my gosh, it was Mr. Bingley. He has purposely come to see us. My emotions were in such a state that I found myself speaking out loud to calm them. I will be calm. I will be mistress of myself. Or maybe mistress of Mr. Bingley. Perplexed. Hello, it's good to see you all. His complexion was white with agitation, and he looked as fearful of his reception and conscious that he had merited no kind one. I wish you much joy, Mr. Bingley. Our mom's being civil. Feeling emotionally withdrawn and socially awkward, I felt that some discussion must pass between us, or the room should burst with unease. Are we talking about the weather? Are we really talking about the weather? I hope you've left Mrs. Bingley well. Our mom just said, I hope your wife is well, and you said, I suppose she is, so why are you here? Is Mrs. Bingley at Netherfield? We should very much like to meet her. Okay, Mr. Bingley looked puzzled. But you've already met my sister. I think Lady Anne needs to inquire for Mrs. Edward Bingley. Mr. Bingley colored, seemed perplexed, looked doubtingly, and after some hesitation said, Perhaps you referenced the marriage of my sister Caroline to Mr. Darcy? I knew it! Colonel Brandon read the wrong thing. It was congratulations, Mr. Darcy and Ms. Bingley. It was all in the papers, but I fear much of the discussion I heard in the streets and mistook it as the marriage of Mr. Darcy's sister to me. Your sister? Married to Mr. Darcy? Yeah, they were married last week, and they're now at his estate in Pemberley. And what of his sister? I had thought you were indeed engaged to her. Promised is the more accurate description. Oh. He turned her down. Certainly we're not well suited in comparison. Mr. Bingley stopped and looked longingly at me. I know I have no right to ask. I have left you to wonder as I considered the wishes of my father and family. I felt that I admired you, but I told myself it was only friendship. I only later realized that I was doing danger to more than myself. I'm very sorry for that pain, and I should very much like to make it up to you. Forever, if you'll have me. This is it. I could barely speak. I was in the greatest astonishment and perplexity at the change in the situation. So wonderful and so sudden. I knew not what to say. Will you have me as your husband? Yes! I had always found Mr. Bingley the most warm-hearted soul in the world. His open good nature and warm regards for everyone, I was confident would lead us towards an endless bliss. No kidding. It has been a very rocky road, you guys. It has been exhausting, emotionally, mentally, physically. Congratulations! You've completed your story and unlocked ending 5, Mrs. Bingley. I'm so happy with this ending. Mr. Bingley is truly a good person. His goodness is matched by only one person I know, my sister Jane. I had worried that perhaps stealing him away from her might have been wrong, but her marriage to Colonel Brandon has healed the breach that surfaced between us and returned us to being the best of friends. The only downside is we have to hang out with Mr. Darcy. That's fine. Apart from that, we have plenty of money and only each other to occupy our time. That's so nice. Mr. Bingley's happy nature and manners make everything and everyone around him more pleasant, which, in my mind, makes for the happiest of ever afters. Thank you so much for joining me on this crazy journey. We got our guy. From day one, I wanted Mr. Bingley, and we finally got our man. So stick around. I'm going to play all the endings, but I'm going to skip through everything else. I'm just going to go to the key moments where we get the guy. So far, we've unlocked 2 of the 9 endings. Mrs. Collins and Mr. Bingley, the main one, the one we wanted. So, see you next time.